Your big mind state hack is having the awareness of the inner critic. Okay, so a lot of people in psychology, they talk about the inner critic. The inner critic exists within every single one of us. When we start to become more aware of it, we can start to lessen its value and its impact on our daily life. There's no value to it. There's no value that is positive for the inner critic. You don't need it, okay? So let's lessen it as far as we can until we have so much awareness that when it pops in, what it says to us, we can dispel it energetically, promptly, quickly, right away. There's no value for the inner critic. I think, are taught that it's important to be, judgmental, and this is a part of personal growth, and that if we really, judge ourselves harshly, that we can be excellent. Well, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work when you're parenting children. It doesn't work when you're working with people at work. Fear and judgment is a terrible motivator. A lot of times we were perhaps taught that in growing up, that our parents were taught that, and parents before that were taught that using fear, intimidation, manipulation, criticism would manipulate people and would inspire them to change in the way that somebody, wanted us to change. But the thing is, like corporal punishment, like spanking, it is something, I shouldn't have brought that up, but okay, here it is. I did. These are things that actually in the short term, they seem to work because they do effectuate immediate change. But here's the thing. It is not by compliance that people are choosing to change when they're motivated by the inner critic and fear. So it doesn't work. Really, it has to be a choice. Growth has to be a choice. Learning has to be a choice. That's the only way that it works. And doing that through allowing and love. So back to the inner critic. The inner critic voice is something that we have in us, and it's been programmed, and I've looked a lot into why it even exists. It exists within the amygdala, the primal state, fight or flight, the autopilot mind, and it basically was probably programmed there for us for our survival. We no longer need it. You do not need to listen to the negative voice inside your head that is criticizing yourself. In fact, you should become very highly aware of it so that when it comes in, maybe you won't hear it in, a sentence or maybe you will, but if you don't, you'll feel it in the feeling realm. You'll feel it in the sensation realm, and you'll feel discomfort and you'll feel uncomfortable, and it will be judgment about yourself. And it will have a voice like, why do you always do that? God, you're such a loser. Or, God, you're so stupid. Or why are you always late? Or, any of these kinds of things. This is not compassion. This is not understanding. This is not empathy. This is not progressive. And it has no value. And your biggest thing that you can do in life is to live by example. That's not the example you want to live by. You want to live by the example of being a beacon of light energy, one that's compassionate, that's empathetic, that's understanding to ourselves, that's expansive. And so one thing that I've talked about previously is having a journal. And you could do it just for one day. You could even do it for just 1 hour, and just noticing all the inner critic things that you say about yourself, and also the outer critic things that you say about others, because that's a reflection of how we feel about ourselves. So that we perceive, it has to be inside of us. We can't perceive it unless it's something within us already. So start making lists of the things that you say the first thing upon, waking up in the morning, when you first look at your face or when you first look out. And if you hear a critic thing, just start having awareness. And then the reason why to do this is then we could start to shift it, and we can reprogram it and reprogram our brain so that the voice of the inner critic becomes lesser and lesser and lesser until it's just like the faintest little insidious whisper when you've done this work. And you can do it pretty rapidly. You can do it very quickly. So just notice it. And when you notice your inner critic, don't be critical about it. Don't judge yourself like, see, I got a lot of inner critic, that's another, component of it. So the last thing I want to finish off with, and this is, this is a conversation that I had with a client of mine that I dearly love. And what it was is that we're all just people walking around wanting to be loved. And in order to achieve that, we have to feel a love for ourselves. And to feel love for ourselves, we have to eliminate the inner critic, okay? Because we have to accept all of ourselves. So if you do notice yourself saying, oh my God, that was so dumb, why'd you say that? Catch it and just say like, well, why would I say that? And then you can understand why that's why I would say that. So like, I'm not going to, like, I start to talk back to my inner critic now, and I put it in its place. Some people name theirs. I haven't done that. If you want to do that, you can do that. And then just recognize it every time that happens, and then change the meaning of what you're saying in a way that's understanding and empathetic to yourself. Change the meaning externally when you think critically about others, and you're judging others, and just try to be a ball of compassion and empathy and love and non-judgmental. Okay. And totally accepting, because then when you're going about your day, everybody just wanting to be seen, heard, valued, loved, affirmed, you're going to get it, because it starts inside you. And that's how we create that. Thanks for listening.